said, well, I've been selling math to high school teenagers for 15 years and nobody wanted to buy that. I walked out of there with a $500 check and a full belly and I was like, holy guacamole. She said, we were looking for the most expensive package, and yours was it. People are looking for the value you offer at the prices you charge.
Nicole crushed it today. The things that she taught us today, I had never thought of.
He goes, you gonna try to tell me those handwritten notes made you number one? I said, are you gonna try to tell me that they didn't? They didn't make me number one. They made me more me.
We asked Nicole to join us for our second annual conference, Stampede to Remarkable, and Nicole did a sales presentation for us. I will say she was fantastic.
And Maria Shriver puts her pen down and looks up and goes, oh, it's Nikki, the math tutor. So I want to start off with a question and get to know each of you a little bit. And my question is, by a show of hands, who in this room grew up wanting to be a salesperson? There's always one or two. However, I'm not surprised that the majority did not raise their hands. And I don't know if you noticed or not, but my hand wasn't raised either. I didn't grow up wanting to be a salesperson. If you had told my little 10-year-old self that I'd be standing here doing what I'm doing now, I never would have believed it. I thought the same as you. They're sleazy, they're salesy, they're slimy, and I didn't want to be that. So that's why I decided to go to school and become a high school math teacher. Something much more virtuous and fun, as far as I'm concerned. I can tell by the look on your faces that it doesn't sound any more exciting than salesperson. But every day for 15 years, I went into the classroom and I taught the Pythagorean theorem and the quadratic equation and dealt with teenagers. And after 15 years, I don't know, it kind of got old. I wanted to do something different, and I'm a really competitive person, and I had a lot of friends that were in sales. But one day a friend of mine came up to me, and he and I had played some sports together. I lived in Southern California. Beach volleyball was a big thing. And we walked off the beach volleyball court one day, and he goes, whatever I just saw on that volleyball court, you need to be in sales. And I said, you think I could do sales? He goes, I think you'd be really good at it. I said, yeah, I couldn't do it though, I don't have experience. And he goes, if I got you an interview with my boss, would you go? So I sent him my resume that just said teacher, 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 teacher. And a couple weeks later, there I was walking into this interview, nervous but excited, like, holy guacamole, I got myself an interview for a sales job. And I was so nervous that the guy was gonna tell me I didn't have experience, but I get through the whole interview and it went really well. And he goes, I'm pleasantly surprised. You really knocked this out of the park. I was like, yes. He goes, however, I'm gonna have a hard time hiring you over the 89 internal people who want this position. Your resume just says teacher, you've never sold anything. I said, well, I've been selling math to high school teenagers for 15 years and nobody wanted to buy that. And he goes, that's good, you're good. I was like, another friend of mine found out I was interviewing for sales jobs. He said, I'll hire you right now. And that one worked out pretty well. I went from a 15-year math teacher to being the #1 salesperson in the country for this Fortune 500 company. And what I learned is I didn't have to do it being sleazy, slimy, salesy, slick, all the adjectives that we described before. I did it in a way that felt really good. The first sale you have to make every single day is you on you. And some of you might be good at that, and some of you might still need work with that. I know for me, when I was new to sales, I had to work on that every single day. Somebody in the back said selling is hard. It is. It's a daily thing that you have to wake up and choose to go out there and do what you're doing, and it's not always easy. So we've got to go from doubt to belief. The other thing that we have to go from doubt to belief about is who you are as Pink Zebra, what you're about, because you're different than any other company that's doing what you're doing. And you've got to really lean into that and believe that. And the other big thing is believing in what you charge and that people want to pay it. And I bring that up because there's not a single group of people that I have ever stood in front of and spoken, and I've done this for a very long time, that does not have some level of price insecurities, sensitivities, or fears around what they charge. You're not going to be the cheapest, and you're not trying to be, and for good reason. And this was a big aha for me. So we're gonna go back to when I was very new to Beverly Hills. That's where I was a high school math teacher at Beverly Hills High School. And when I first moved there, I moved there from a small town in Ohio. In Ohio, I was a math tutor, and I thought that was a pretty cool thing to do on the side of my teaching job. And when I moved to Beverly Hills, this guy said to me, he was one of my colleagues, he said, do you tutor? And I said, yeah. And he said, great, because I tutor a lot of people here in Beverly Hills, and I end up getting more clients than I can handle, and I like to refer. So what do you charge? I'll start referring people to you. I said, $15 an hour. He said, what? And I said, is that too much? He said, no, they'll never hire you. That's not enough. Well, in my little small town, Ohio, $15 an hour was a really big deal. And I was like, well, how much should I charge? He goes, you have to charge at least $100 or they won't hire you. My jaw was on the ground. I said, $100 an hour? There's no way I can say that. I can't say that. He said, well, they won't hire you. I said, why? He said, because they won't think you're good enough. They won't think the value's there. I'll show you. Send some people my way. First person, didn't hire me. Second person, didn't hire me. Third person, didn't hire me. Nobody wanted a $15 an hour tutor when the going rate was $100 an hour or more. They're looking for value. They didn't think that what I was doing, I mean, of course, what I was doing was the same as what everybody else was doing. I had to believe in what I was doing and believe that it was worth that level. So finally, the fourth person calls and I tell her $50 an hour. I'm like, all right, I'll up my prices. $50 an hour. She hired. She said, can you show up on Tuesday to tutor my son at the library? I said, sure. I show up at the library. Her son doesn't show up. She ghosts me. I never get paid. I'm like, $85 an hour. I finally got hired at $85 an hour. And this woman was wonderful. She hired me to tutor both her son and her daughters. I get there at 4 o'clock to tutor her daughter, and then I tutor her son. And then their live-in housekeeper makes dinner for the family, and they invite me to stay for dinner. I'm like, oh, they're so wonderful. They're so nice, whatever. It's like around 8 o'clock. She pulls out her checkbook. I'm getting ready to leave. And she said, what time did you get here? And I said, like a little before 4. And she goes, okay. And she writes me a check from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. I said, oh, I only tutored for 2 hours. She goes, oh, I know. There's driving time, and you stayed for dinner. I walked out of there with a $500 check and a full belly. And I was like, holy guacamole. And you know what we gotta stop doing? We gotta stop making decisions about how other people wanna spend their money. That's what we gotta stop doing. It's none of my business how she wants to spend her money. And we do that so often. We project our feelings and our fears when what somebody's looking for is exactly what we offer. And if we don't show up to offer it in the way that it's meant to be, they're not gonna be able to find us. There's another story that I love. This is my friend Marie Claire. Marie Claire is somebody that was a Beverly Hills esthetician. She was making like $45 an hour. This was many years ago. And she thought, God, there's gotta be a better way. She's a single mom. She's just trying to make ends meet. And she's like, I wanna do something different. So she hires this business coach. And this business coach says, put together your dream offer that would be $5,000. Like, what would you do as an esthetician that would be worth $5,000 and email it to me? So Marie Claire puts it all together. She emails it to the coach. And the coach said, great, that looks awesome. Now put it on your website. She said, you just told me to email you my dream offer. You didn't tell me to put it on my website. She said, put it on your website. Are you gonna be coachable or not? So she puts it on her website. About a week later, somebody calls and says that they're a producer from the Wayne Brady show. And Marie Claire just, the voicemail, like she listens to it and she's like, I'll get back to them tomorrow. I think it's one of my friends pranking me. And the next day she called back and sure enough, it was a Wayne Brady show producer. And they said, we'd like to buy your dream package. As a matter of fact, we'd like to buy 10 of them. And she said, oh my gosh, well, I just, I have to ask, what was it about my offer that made it stand out to you? There's so many different ones in Beverly Hills that you could have bought. She said, we were looking for the most expensive package and yours was it. People are looking for the value you offer at the prices you charge. We are costing ourselves money. And I say we because we've all done this when we have our own projections around what people will pay for the services that we offer. There is value in what you do and people are looking for it. That $5,000 offer always existed inside Marie Claire's head, but until she was willing to put it out there and show people, they couldn't find it. People can't buy what they don't know is for sale. And I've got to tell you, slowing the process down actually does speed it up. This was a lesson that I learned when I was new in my corporate sales job, and I told you I was insecure and I was wondering what the heck I was gonna do and how I was gonna get in front of people. And I thought, okay, what can I do that nobody else is doing? All of my competitors are writing emails. All of my competitors are making phone calls. All of my competitors are doing the same things. What could I do that would be different? I thought, well, okay, I'm gonna write handwritten notes. I would sit down every Monday in the sales office and I would write notes to the people that I had had phone calls with, that I had had meetings with, and I got made fun of by my sales team every single Monday. This was a team of veteran salespeople who had been doing this for over a decade, and they were like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm writing notes to people that I met with last week. And they were like, oh, that's cute, Pollyanna. Pick up the phone and call. And I was like, well, these are the way I'm reaching out to people. And they were like, that's too slow. You're never gonna be able to get done what you need to get done. I was like, you do you and I'll do me and we'll figure it out. And then about a year and a half later, they announced me as the #1 salesperson in the country. And my one buddy, Kevin, who sat right next to me, came up to me. He's like, all right, how'd you do it? I said, how'd I do what? He said, how'd you become #1? I said, you sit the desk right next to me. You saw everything I did. What do you mean, how did I do it? He goes, you gonna try to tell me those handwritten notes made you #1? I said, are you gonna try to tell me that they didn't? They didn't, guys. They didn't make me #1. They made me more me. They gave me an opportunity to stand out differently. They gave me an opportunity to connect in a way that nobody else was connecting. But sales move at the speed of trust. And how do we build trust? We don't build trust overnight. We don't build trust in one phone call. We build trust over time. Thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure to be here with you this morning. There's the playbook again if you didn't get it.